This is Personal Injury Court.
This is the matter of Gray versus Henderson. Mrs. Gray, I understand that you are here suing Mr. Henderson for a pretty bad nose injury that you sustained while at his haunted house. I've looked at the court documents, you've submitted your bills and some other documents. It's my understanding that you are suing for $38,000 in medical bills, $8,000 in lost wages, and $50,000 for pain and suffering, for a total of $96,000. Now, Mr. Henderson, it's my understanding that you say she was there to be scared, not your fault. This is her doing. Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Now, Miss Gray, tell me how we got here.
My best friend and I have been best friends for
Since third grade.
Since third grade, yes. So
Y'all even look at each other with love.
Yes. Everyone knows that where Janine is, Heather will be too. Heather here is a bit of a fright freak. We are best friends, but we're very different in our taste of excitement. So she loves those kind of things, and I do not. But Heather won 2 tickets for this haunted house, and everyone was talking about it, our other friends. So I was really excited. So I was
Did you go to last year's?
I did not. I've never been.
So you really didn't know what to expect?
Yeah, not at all, because, I always skip it. So I decided to go, and we planned, and I was actually really excited.
Now, Mr. Henderson, how long you been running this haunted house?
Your Honor, we've been in business for over 17 years now.
And what's the goal?
We're all about the experience. We want every person that crosses our threshold to feel like they just to come to an event. So we lay it on thick. We hire the best costumed actors to portray our characters. 17 years, we've never had an issue.
Tell me this. Most of the haunted houses I've been to are these kind of warehouses that they rent for a couple days around Halloween, and you go in there and people scare the hell out of you. Was it that kind of thing? Dark and, creepy?
Yes, it was very dark. There were a lot of attractions. They did put a lot of effort into it.
Okay. Well, it harkens me back, because I've got 3 sons. I used to take them there. I was always worried about them getting away from me, because they were certainly going to get scared.
Right.
But it was always very dark.
Yes, a lot of strobing lights and loud noises, scary noises.
I see Mr. Henderson nodding. That's really the atmosphere.
Yeah. I mean, you come to a haunted house to be frightened. I mean, that's the whole intent and purpose of a haunted house.
And you knew that, right?
Yes.
You knew you were going to be scared.
Yeah, so I definitely knew I was going to be scared. So I get ready. We get there. She shows the free VIP tickets.
Why VIP? What did that allow you to do that the regular folks don't get to do?
They took us through a separate entrance, which was great.
Were you excited?
Yes, I was excited.
Was Heather excited?
Of course I was.
How long had you been inside before the bad stuff happened?
Probably about 10 minutes, taking our time, going through the different rooms and attractions. And so we get...
And you had been scared, right? You've been in there a while, things are jumping out at you.
Yes.
So what happened?
So we get into this hallway, and it was very, very dark, and we get separated. We lose each other, and that's when everything changed.
Did getting separated from Heather add to you being insecure in this place?
Yes, absolutely. I was only there in the first place because of her and for her. So I'm looking for Heather. I am overwhelmed, freaking out right now. Then to make everything worse, a chainsaw guy jumps in front of me with his chainsaw, and it's loud, and he's coming at me.
Scared the hell out of you.
Scared the hell out of me, Your Honor. And my reaction was to back up. And then I feel something on my shoulder.
What did you feel?
There are hands, hairy hands.
Okay.
Look back. It's a werewolf character, huge werewolf character, touching me, and I immediately freak out and run. That's Did
you know where you were running to?
No idea. I couldn't even see. It was pitch black.
You're just running away from the werewolf.
Of course, I was running away. I wanted to get away from him.
And so you start running, then what happened?
So I run, and as soon as I start running, I hit a brick wall.
Now you can see from the size of my nose and playing football in college, I've broken that nose a couple times, so I'm feeling those days. What were you feeling when you hit that wall?
Immediate shock and a lot of pain. You broke your nose. I'm sure you understand, Your Honor. It's a very painful situation. A lot of blood.
This looks like it hurts today.
Yes, it does. blood everywhere. I'm very dizzy from the concussion.
Okay.
And I'm just distraught at this point.
Now, Mr. Henderson, do you remember when this incident happened?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Take me to that night.
I was on the premises that night, but I was not in the vicinity when it happened. I became aware of it through Mr. Greco and Mr. Powell here, who were present when the incident occurred, sir.
Okay.
And, well, you know, I just got to say this. Ms. Gray knew what she was getting into, Your Honor.
She knew she was going to be scared, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, you're not saying that she would know she's going to have a broken nose at the end of the day, right?
No,
I
Your
hope
Honor,
not.
no. But what I am asserting is that this broken nose is due to her own negligence. She knew what she was getting into.
Excuse me?
You still got a little bit of the black eyes and this bandage.
Yes, so what happened was they tried to fix it.
This is you right here?
Yes.
Now, how fresh is this? Is this that day or the next day or something?
I believe that's the next day. Yes, the
I
next
see
morning.
they've actually got packing in your nose.
Yes, they were trying to fix it without having to do surgery. That didn't work out very well, so I had to go ahead and get a nose job. Everything started to fall apart in my life after that.
How does a nose and black eyes like you have affect you as a bartender?
My face paid my bills, right? I need to look good.
Mine too.
Right?
Now, Mr. Henderson, let me understand. You keep saying this is not my fault. She was negligent. Why is this not your fault? She goes for a day
Honor.
of excitement and fun with her friend, right, to add to their memories, and she leaves with a different face.
Two reasons. First reason is that in 17 years, we've had 500,000 people come through, over 500,000. Not a
Okay.
single person has been injured.
You got lucky.
And the second thing, and the most important thing, is that she got these tickets from a radio ad that in this radio ad, they actually clearly state that this is a frightening experience. Matter of fact, the catchphrase is in there, prepare to be scared.
You've submitted that ad to the
Yes,
court, right?
yes.
Let's hear it.
Experience your worst nightmare. Prepare to be scared as you enter the portal of darkness and paranoia. Prepare to be scared.
Now, Miss Gray,
Prepare to
did
be
you hear that ad?
Your Honor, I do not listen to the radio. Again, my friend Heather was the one who entered the contest, listened to the radio station, and got the.
So that's the first time you've heard that.
It is the first time.
But, Your Honor, the ticket that she redeemed when she got to our establishment clearly has stated on it, prepare to be scared. This is a ticket that
You
she
weren't
had.
prepared to be scared. I was prepared
Sheriff
to be
Matt,
scared.
Did you look at the ticket?
You
Sheriff
weren't
Matt, please see
prepared
the
to
ticket.
have us there.
Did you
It's
look
as
at the
simple as
ticket?
that.
Did
You were
read
not
the ticket?
prepared to have us
Did
there.
you read the ticket?
Order in this court. Now, Miss Gray, you knew you were going to be scared, right?
Of course, I
And
was.
the fact that a chainsaw is there and somebody looking like they want to kill somebody, that wasn't surprising to you, was
No,
it?
not at all, Your Honor. I was totally prepared to be scared. I was not prepared to be in the hospital. I was not prepared to have to pay $38,000 in medical bills.
If you wanted to
bills.
go to the happiest place on earth, you should have went somewhere else.
I'm looking at your ticket. It says prepared to be scared.
Thank you.
Sheriff Matt, show this to Miss Gray and then get it back to me because I got some questions about it.
Thank you.
Miss Gray, you remember having that ticket, right? Mm-hmm. And based on that ticket, and frankly, your understanding and experience with haunted houses, you knew they were going to scare the hell out of you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
This was not the issue. His characters, to my opinion, were really lacking a lot of training, grabbed me and terrified me in such a way that is not safe.
Mr. Henderson, on your ticket it says prepared to be scared.
Yes,
If
sir.
she didn't see the radio ad, and you know how people are with pieces of paper, they just hand them
Yeah.
to the
Big bold
ticket
print on
taker,
that
right?
ticket, Your Honor. There's big bold print on that ticket. And plastered all over every entrance are warning signs that say, prepare to be scared.
You see this warning sign here? Is this one of your
Yes, that's one of them.
signs?
Yes.
And where would something like this be?
I believe that one might be at our VIP entrance, sir.
Now, Miss Gray, that's as plain as the nose on my face. I mean, you had to see that sign, right?
Your Honor, there was no sign at the VIP entrance.
We purposely put signs at every entrance because we want people to be prepared. We want people to be fully aware of what they're getting themselves into,
Okay.
which is why we've had such an impeccable safety record. We train our employees on how to spot potential dangers for our guests, you know, and be proactive in situations to watch out for guests, which is what happened for Miss Gray. This
Your
actually
employee
happened.
created the situation.
Now, Mr. Henderson, Miss Gray is kind of pointing the real finger at your employees. It's my understanding you brought a couple of those employees here. I really would like to hear from them since they were there.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is Vito Greco. He's our chainsaw cosplay actor.
Oh, Your Honor.
And
Mr.
this is
Greco,
Kenny Powell.
please step to the podium. You were the chainsaw guy?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you actually had a real chainsaw in there?
No, it was actually a prop.
Is this you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you go through training for this job?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of things are you trained to do other than try to scare people?
Besides scaring people, just trying to spot dangers, to see if people are actually too frightened where they get themselves trip, fall, anything along those lines.
Now, if somebody looks like they're too frightened, are you trained to kind of back off?
Yeah, just break character and not scare them.
Sorry, Your Honor, he did not.
When you're doing your thing, is that chainsaw on? Does it do?
Actually, I brought it with me if you'd like to take a look.
Pick it up for me.
Yeah, it's this one, and it makes noises.
Show me how you did it, but I know Miss Gray's not as big and muscular as Sheriff Matt. Get as close to Sheriff Matt as you got to Mrs. Gray. Turn it on. And what are you doing with the chainsaw?
Right here.
Okay. Matt, you don't look very scared, okay? You may step back to the podium. So tell me what you remember happened that day, Mr. Greco.
Me and Kenny usually work together, and we usually have our same routine.
What's he doing while you're in Miss Gray's face with the chainsaw?
He's the werewolf.
Okay.
So he pretty much, he waits on my cue and then pops up after me.
Now, let me hear from Kenny.
So, yeah, my job, like as he said, is to usually, I stand on the other side.
Okay.
So when they back up, I'm there to scare them.
And what do you do to let them know you're present? What do you remember happened this night? Did you jump out like you usually do?
Well, so this night was a little bit different. She actually started to run, and then she was backpedaling, and I
Okay.
just saw she was going to injure herself really bad, so I put my hands on her shoulder, and then she just freaked out and turned around, and that's...
So if she's backpedaling and you put your hands out, you caught her.
Yeah, I saved her.
You
I helped
grabbed
her.
me. No,
I helped you.
You did not help
address
me.
your
Yes, I
comments to
did.
the court.
Your injuries could have been much
Address your
worse.
comments to the court.
Your Honor, he
Yes, ma'am.
grabbed me.
Sheriff Matt, would you get that hairy hand for me? So the grab or was it on the side? Was it on the top? I mean, this kind of thing?
Yes, it was on the top, Your Honor. And I don't understand how he claims to be helping me by grabbing me.
Mr. Powell, I put this thing up on my shoulder like this. Is that about how you tried to catch her?
Yeah, it was a little bit like more right on the edges of her shoulder, just to
Right.
kind of stabilize her.
When you caught her, did you say, "Roar," like that?
No, not at that point, no.
What are they doing after you hit the wall? What are Mr. Powell and Mr. Greco doing?
Well, they are now trying to help me. And thank God Heather showed up. So, you know, when I opened my eyes from being dizzy, I saw her.
We keep talking about Heather. I want to hear from Heather. When you arrived on the scene after your friend had hit that wall, what was going through your mind?
She basically had a concussion, so it was so hard just to see my friend in so much distress.
Did she ever say she was caught or grabbed or anything of that sort?
She just kept saying she was grabbed by these hairy hands, and I was very confused on what she was talking about until I saw the werewolf.
Thank you, Ms. Heather, for your testimony. You may be seated. I've heard all the testimony that I need. I'm ready to make a decision. The legal framework for any personal injury case is that Ms. Gray has to prove that you were wrong, that you did something wrong, and that your wrong caused her injuries. Clearly, you're injured. Here, there was competing evidence. That is, you go into a haunted house, you expect that you and your girlfriend are going to have another memorable experience, and then someone grabs you and you end up running into a wall, crushing your nose. Mr. Henderson, all day you've been protesting about you have no responsibility. You put up signs, you put out a radio ad, you did everything you could to let her know that this was going to be a scary experience. When I looked at this ticket, I was impressed that prepared to be scared, yet another affirmation that you're getting what you paid for. I looked at it closely, the warning in the fine print. Warning, event may be too intense for children under 12 years of age. That's clear. No touching the characters. And that reminds me of my brother who actually punched one of the characters in a haunted house. But this last line of it makes me ticklish about this, and it goes into the proof of wrong. It says, characters will not touch you. The evidence is clear that the werewolf touched Mrs. Gray. The way it was described with the hand on the shoulder, I understand why you panicked, but I'm not giving you the full $96,000 because you were 49% responsible, because you decided to run into the wall. I find in your favor and against Mr. Henderson for $48,960, which is 51% of what you originally sought from this court. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Terry Krupin has to say.
The legal lesson here is what's good for the goose is good for the werewolf. The defendant wanted to rely on a release of liability written on the ticket, but he got bitten by his own rules when the same ticket also promised patrons wouldn't be touched. Don't forget, the court will look at the whole document and not just the parts that are favorable to you.
This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Gray versus Ortiz. Ms. Gray, it's my understanding from the documents that you filed with this court that you sustained a pretty serious hand injury while at Ms. Ortiz's funeral home. You're asking this court to award you $46,000 for past medical bills, $7,200 for lost wages, and $100,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $153,200. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Ortiz, you believe this is not your fault because you didn't know anything about what caused her injuries?
That's
True?
correct, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Tell me, what led you to be in a funeral home that day?
Well, Your Honor, I'm a makeup artist. Makeup has been my passion since I was a little girl. Even my baby dolls had makeup on all the time. I've been doing it for over 10 years now. I do weddings, I do sweet 16s, I do special occasions, anything, I can do it. My friend was telling me about a convention that was in town, and that is where I met Miss Ortiz. She is the director at the funeral home Ray of Light.
But how do you get into making up dead bodies?
You know, honestly, people may find it morbid, but beauty is beauty to me. So I feel like the bodies deserve to go out the way that they live.
You know, as I read your papers, the only other person I'd ever heard of being in this business is I was talking to Matt when I met his parents, and his mom did a little bit of this. So I thought 1 in 10,000 people would do this kind of work. Is that pretty unique?
Well, I'm 1 in 10,000 because I love it.
And Miss Ortiz, how long have you run this funeral home?
Your Honor, I've been at this particular funeral home for over 20 years. I inherited it from my husband, who got it from his parents when they retired.
Do you normally have a makeup artist come in to do work on the loved ones of folks?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I normally have a regular staff, but I was at the Mortuary convention and had a small booth, and that's how I met Miss Gray. She seemed like a nice enough girl at the time, so I thought, well, you know, if I need any extra help, I'll call her in. At this particular weekend, we were exceptionally busy. We had 3 funerals going on at once, and I needed an extra person to help out.
So, Ms. Gray, how did you get injured on this day?
So as I started working, I noticed some threads on the jacket part of, you know, the body. And as I was pulling them off, I saw another string in the pant pocket. So I opened up the second half of the casket, and then I pulled what I thought was a string, and Your Honor, it was a rat. It was like, and as soon as I did that, Your Honor, it attacked, like it lunged at me and it stuck its like razor sharp teeth. Your Honor, like, oh God, just talking about it, I can feel it all over again. Like,
a rat jumped out?
Your Honor, it jumped out at me and it bit me everywhere. It got my arms, Your Honor. Like, I was so frantic and I didn't know what else was in there.
I have an admission. Rats turn me into a little boy, okay?
It turns me into a little girl, Your Honor. I was terrified. So I slammed the bottom half, and then that's when I slammed it on my hand, Your Honor. and then I broke my 2 fingers.
So Miss Ortiz, a rat in a casket, that's kind of weird, right?
Yes, Your Honor, it is definitely weird.
I was hoping you would say yes. How did you know that something had happened?
Well, Your Honor, I was out front with the families. I had well over 100 people in the funeral home. I had 3 funerals going on all at once. I'm talking with some of the relatives and families, and I hear a scream in the back. I excuse myself and go running to the back. She's absolutely going crazy. Something about a rat, and I'm looking around going, rat where? I see absolutely nothing, Your Honor.
You didn't see any rat?
I saw nothing, Your Honor. She's standing there absolutely going crazy. So I said, please, sweetheart, please, I don't know what's going on, but go home, get some rest, and let me call you in the morning, and let's work this out. Let's find out what's going on.
Now, Miss Gray, I want you to come over to this casket and tell me exactly how this happened.
Yes, Your Honor. I opened up the top half. As I was sitting there and, you know, fixing them up, that's when I saw the threads, like, at the top part of the jacket. So I'm, you know, just pulling them off, make sure they're fine. And I saw another thread on the pant pocket part. So I was like, oh, okay, well, let me get it. And instead of, like, digging, you know, for what, I pulled, and then that's when the rat jumped on me and attacked. Your Honor, it bit at me, like it took chunks of my flesh with it.
You're gonna send me back into therapy here, okay?
I don't know what else is in here, so that's when I'm, you know, just freaking out, and then so I just grabbed the top and then slammed it down and then landed on my hand.
So that's how your hand was hurt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're screaming and flailing?
And flailing about.
And Miss Ortiz, that's what you heard that drew you back to see what was going on?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Gray, you may return to the podium. Thank you. Miss Ortiz, this happened at your funeral home. This isn't your fault?
No, Your Honor. May I please?
Yes, ma'am.
Please, the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would like you to look at this casket.
Okay.
Why was she in the bottom half of the casket? She had no business being in the bottom half.
So she could have done her job on the top half.
There was no way she could have seen that. Why did she open the bottom half? Why did she open the bottom half, Your Honor?
I mean, that's a good point.
I'm a perfectionist.
You're not putting makeup below the belt, right?
I understand, but I'm a perfectionist.
Okay.
At the end
Your
of the
Honor,
day,
it's exceptionally curious that she's in the bottom half.
My name goes on that work, regardless of who sees it or who doesn't see it.
Your name is not on anything. Mine is.
That's still my name. That's my brand.
In terms of what they're gonna see, though, they're gonna see the top half, though, right?
But I like for things to look nice. I like to go a step above and beyond just to make sure that these people get the respect they deserve. Just because they're dead doesn't mean that they don't deserve that.
So, Miss Ortiz, had she not gone below the belt, this never would have happened, would it?
It never would have happened, Your Honor.
You can go back to the podium, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Gray, you have $46,000 in medical bills. Please explain that for me.
I broke 2 of my fingers on my dominant hand. This is my working hand. I can't work right now. Look at that. Like, that looks disgusting.
That's
I wouldn't
you.
want anybody to touch me looking like that.
It looks like the rat was actually hanging on your
He clung
skin.
on to life, Your Honor. Okay?
Woo. It makes me itch.
It should. The bites still haven't healed. Like, they're still sore. They itch all the time.
And you are left-handed.
I am.
And that's why you couldn't work, and you're asking this court to give you $7,200 for lost wages.
Yes, Your Honor. I can't even get dressed. I can't even cook.
Oh, please, Your
I've
Honor.
consulted an expert, Dr. Samantha Brown Parks, who's going to come in and explain your injuries. Sheriff, would you get Dr. Samantha Brown Parks for us?
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Come on back to your podium.
Oh, God. Look, it's looking at me.
Ew.
So, Judge, this is a common black rat, also known as a roof rat or a house rat that you would find out in the community. A lot of humans have an innate fear of rats, probably because of the destruction that they've created on our civilization over time.
Well, they're not that friendly looking, Doc.
More importantly, they like to chew. They're omnivores, so they eat everything. So they chew on wood, they chew on paper, they chew on electrical wires.
Chew on skin, Your Honor.
But they also chew on corpses.
Doctor, what's your understanding of the plaintiff's injuries?
So from reviewing her case, it looks like the physician who treated her did everything right.
How do you treat that kind of thing?
We clean out the wound and treat it just like any other wound and dress it. But we also have to treat with prophylactic antibiotics. So rats are known to carry a lot of really kind of bad diseases.
Does the plaintiff face any long-term consequences?
It looks like her wounds will probably heal. She may have some scarring and needs scar revision. But more importantly, given her history of a fear of rodents, I suspect that she'll have long-term longitudinal psychiatric or psychological counseling.
Doc, what about the toxicology report as it pertains to disease?
They tested her blood for a series of organisms that could infect her that she'd be at risk for. So salmonella, which can be carried in the urine and feces and then on the rat's fur.
And you get that when they bite you?
Or when they scratch you and climb on you. Then Yersinia pestis, which is the bubonic plague, which is from the actual bite. HIV, mostly because it was in a casket with a dead body.
This could have been really bad.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, doctor. You are released. Ooh. I'm sweating from that rat, y'all.
I understand.
I mean, that's, woo. Miss Ortiz, have you ever seen rats in your funeral parlor before?
No, Your Honor, never.
Not
ever.
even once?
Not even once, Your Honor.
The funeral home is disgusting. It is completely and utterly filthy. It's next to a garbage-filled alley.
You have submitted this photo. How can Miss Ortiz be responsible for garbage in an alley? You cannot hold her responsible, and frankly, more importantly, not you, but the law does not hold her responsible for other people's trash in the alley.
I have cleaning people that come in every single day after a funeral. Excuse me, I let you talk.
Your
have
Honor,
passed
she's only gotten the place cleaned once.
Talk to me.
Every health inspection.
Your Honor,
Be
she
responsible.
doesn't clean but once a year.
Your Honor,
and
I
that's for the health
fumigate for bugs
inspection, just
all
to pass.
the time.
Okay.
Well, hold on for a minute. If she had 3 funerals that day, not everybody is dissatisfied with her place, right?
I understand, Your Honor.
It can't be that dirty.
So anyway, I went and read comments and reviews about the funeral home, and they do have a witness.
After you were injured?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you brought a witness with you. Our documents say that's Miss Ellen Harris.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Harris, would you stand at the podium? Now, Miss Gray found you online, so you've had a funeral at Miss Ortiz's funeral parlor.
Yes, my mother's.
What was your experience like?
My experience was not good. My mother was OCD. She was always concerned about cleanliness. The day we had a funeral at the place, there was a bug in my mother's casket.
From that exterminator, right? That comes every 3 weeks, please.
Miss Ortiz, that's bad stuff, isn't it?
Well,
bugs in a casket?
It was terrible.
Your Honor, please. I have an exterminator come all the time.
Okay, so she's got an exterminator that comes, but you had bugs in your mom's casket.
Yes, I had a bug in my mom's casket, and I saw rat droppings.
Rat droppings?
No, Your Honor.
Did anybody tell you there were rat droppings?
I did.
Now that's a big deal.
Rat droppings, and when I went to look, there were none.
Well, it couldn't have been M&Ms. What was there?
Nothing, Your Honor. Nothing.
No rat droppings.
There has never been rat droppings in my funeral home, nor have there been bugs in my funeral home, and I pass every single health department check.
Miss Harris, after you told Miss Ortiz about the rat droppings, did you have any other contact with her?
No, after I told her about it, I was just quite upset because I know my mother would have rolled in her grave if she knew that I held her service in this filthy environment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You may take your seat. Thank you. You said earlier that you called an exterminator for bugs.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
I have a regular exterminator that comes all the time.
I would imagine that exterminator knows about rat droppings.
I've never seen rat droppings, Your Honor. Never, ever.
Folks, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove 3 things. You, Miss Gray, have to prove that Miss Ortiz was wrong and that her wrong caused your injuries. Here, you've put up a case to show that you go in to do your makeup and make this person look good for their family and loved ones, and you're trying to be a perfectionist, and you go below the top half of that casket and pull what you thought was a string, and it happens to be a rat that bit you, exposed you to terrible disease, and left you with your hand disfigured when you tried to close the casket. Ms. Ortiz, you've never seen a rat in your place, seen rat droppings, you had an exterminator come for bugs, and despite that alley, you tried to keep your place clean. You say that had she never gone below the belt, this never would have happened. So she's responsible for her own injuries, right? Well, here, the law requires me to look at the evidence, and the evidence in this case must be balanced against what the law requires. The law requires a business owner to take reasonable measures to keep their business safe for customers and other people. If you have noticed that there is a potential hazard, then you must act responsibly as a business owner and take precautions to lessen or eliminate that hazard. Here, Ms. Ortiz, Ms. Harris reported that there were rat droppings, and it appeared to me that you did not take that seriously. The alleyway alone with garbage in it is not enough to hold you responsible. Droppings are. The droppings are what required that you get somebody in there to look at that place and make sure that there are no rodents or any pestilence around. You didn't do that. And in that regard, I'm going to find in your favor, Ms. Gray, and award you $46,000 for medical bills, $7,200 for lost wages, $100,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $153,200 in favor of the plaintiff. That's my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Gary Martin Hayes has to say.
Just when you think you've seen it all, the plaintiff won in this claim because she was able to provide testimony from an unbiased witness who had no financial interest in the claim. And she testified that the funeral home was nasty and dirty. She showed that the funeral parlor allowed the rat infestation by not doing enough to keep the property clean. Ms. Ortiz's failure to keep the premises safe was her ultimate demise.
No, not